Welcome, everyone, to episode 358 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Josh Penteloresco. I write stuff on Podcast 2. Today, Felipe F. Thomaz is my guest. Now, if you guys listened to last Sunday, you'll note that he read, not read, but rather played his music from his video game Into the Dream, which was a lot of fun. He's an interesting dude. Honestly, I am blown away every chance I get to interview amazing people, and Philip's a genius. He really is. I mean, one of the smartest guys I think I've interviewed, and no joke, video game developer, musician, incredible writer, incredibly talented man, and I feel really blessed to have this opportunity, and I'm hoping I get to interview more video game developers as time goes on, actually. Video games to me are kind of like an untapped art form. To me, they have almost like a third dimension. It's like how the interaction in the game compared to a book. The difference is we use our imagination with the book, we play with the video game, and it's such a cool depth to art that I think it's absolutely incredible, honestly. So I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you guys do too. I think for now we'll just get into the conversation and we'll talk a little bit more afterwards. All right.
This episode of Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint supports creators by creators. Whether you are writing a book or creating a video game, Indie Imprint works with its clients to produce, edit, and present their projects to the world. For more information, check out their website at www.indieimprint.com.
Okay, so you've been out.
Well, here's the thing. So I'm turning the recorder on while this conversation. So for the last 2 weeks I've been working. For the last week I've been working, and for me that means I have to go out. I ride 2 trains. I ride 2 trains, a bus. I work in a dirty place. Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope everything is fine. I mean, statistically you should be fine, but
well, no, statistically I'm good. I mean, I'm leaving I'm leaving because I realized that it's not even so much the sickness it's something to respect. I don't know if fear is the right word, but it is something definitely to respect. But it's everything shutting down, right? I know for sure that travel is going to be there tomorrow because everybody's coming home tomorrow. Travel is probably going to be there for a couple days afterwards to make sure everybody gets home somehow, some way. But after that, who can say, right?
Yeah, true.
So I'm kind of just taking the initiatives, like, you know what, let's get out of here while we can, and call it a day and start with the next phase of my life, because I already know what I'm going to be doing during the apocalypse anyway. So I have a lot of plans and ideas and yeah.
Projects and stuff.
Well, there's a lot of opportunity here right now. I think, everybody's going to go through a bit of a hard time. It's just that's just the way it's got to be. But while we're in this moment, we all have different. It's a chance to reevaluate how we're doing things, and the longer this actually lasts, the more we're going to reevaluate this, right? And I think that for me, I'm looking at what am I doing? I'm a podcaster. I can podcast right now. Content is in a bigger demand than it ever was, ever.
True.
So, what can I do in this world to create content and build something while it's here? Right? And I've already thought about some stuff. I'm like, cool. All right, let's try some stuff. Because there's nothing to lose right now either.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So that's me being maybe a hopeful optimist or crazy, but usually in chaos there is opportunity. So we can all maybe make something. Take this chicken shit, maybe turn it into chicken salad.
Yeah, well, I hope it does.
Well, yeah. How about you, man? Like, what are your plans?
Well, my story is a little bit. It was a little bit weird the last year because I was working as a biotech engineer.
Oh wow!
I quit my job. Yeah, but I quit my job in the end of 2018 because I was sick of it.
Yeah, I can relate.
And then I was just like, I was like 1 or 2 months just trying to decide what my next step would be. But in the meantime, I kind of installed Unity, and I decided that I was going to take 1 to 1.5 years to develop this game. And so that's how this all came to be. And I'm going to sell it in 2 months. And after that, I have no idea, because if this flops, I have to think of a plan B. If this goes well, I'll probably continue doing games.
So you're kind of just getting yourself into the position of, yeah, we picked a hell of a time to launch our second careers, didn't we? But it is what it is, right?
Yeah, it is what it is. But but at least I liked a lot this last year, and it was not a waste of time at all.
Oh God, no.
So yeah, I think it was the best option that I had to take. Now let's see if it carries on forward, or I have to think of a new, different approach to life and work.
Well, here's the thing about this. I think I think mostly in your situation. Well, first off, I've learned this like a long time ago. There really is no failure if you're doing something. I mean, yeah, you don't get the goal you want, and that sucks. But everything you do leads somewhere. It just seems to be that everything we go for, it doesn't always work out the way we want it to. We try to what's the term? It leads somewhere. Some of my best successes came out of my biggest failures, right? And I find that's true with everybody. I think everything and everybody, right? So we'll see how it all works out. But I mean, what was the biggest thing you learned in the last year?
It depends on exactly what are you asking. I mean, of course, if you're talking about me as a person, I learned a lot about myself also, because I've never worked before for myself and without any kind of deadline imposed by anybody else. So I had to learn how to keep myself tight with schedule and make myself work every day like if I were in a normal job. And I'm glad that at least I succeeded in that. So I kept on working, and of course there were some up and downs, but I kept my motivation up, and the fact is that I finished the game and I'm going to sell it inside the timeline. And of course I learned a lot in the technical side, because I hadn't done any kind of game dev before. So all of this was completely new to me.
What surprised you the most on that one?
The what? Sorry?
What surprised you the most about the game development? Because it's a lot more technical, I think, than people realize.
It is, but I mean, I come from an engineering background, so in terms of the coding part of it was something that I picked up quite easily, mainly taking into account all these different engines that you have right now. I mean, you have Unity and Unreal, and for those who have some kind of programming background, it's not that hard. Fortunately, I also had quite a good music background. I've been learning music since I was age 5, so that was also...
That's cool.
So that was also some not easy part, but something that I was comfortable with. So for me, the most difficult part was all the design and animation kind of bit. And bringing everything together. I mean, I start to understand also why so many. I mean, I don't know if my game, of course, is going to succeed, but making all these different parts link together is something that is quite hard, and it goes a little bit beyond the strictly technical aspect of programming or coding or animation or design. I think that making everything fit in, seeming that it belongs to the same game, to the same concept, to the same whatever, that's a quite tricky part that people don't usually teach, because I mean, I mean, if you do this for a living, generally you are very specific in one of these areas. But it was kind of a challenging thing to learn for me throughout time. Not learning to be just good or doing something in the specific way, but how to make it work with everything else and all the other fields that the game also needs to have.
So for you, it was almost like an education in top-down design.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, very cool. Hello?
I'm not saying that. Yeah, do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Just so you keep going.
Yeah, I was just saying that I believe that. I don't think that I succeeded on it, but I see that it's where a lot of games fail. That they have brilliant technical aspects in different things, but they all don't come together as a cohesive unit. And so, yeah, that's something that I actually learned, and I'm going to take forward in whatever I'm going to do next. Clearly.
The one thing about building your own game, one thing about it is you have a lot more control of the vision of the game, because it's just you. The moment you get other people, like you look at like some of the bigger games, there's lots and lots of moving parts and lots of people working on those parts, right? That takes a lot more. In one sense, you're better because it's just you. You can build all the parts yourself. It's to your vision, to your specs, and it works out wonderfully. The flip side is it's time. It's a lot more time because you're doing everything yourself. There's a trade-off there. So, so let's see. Let's think about this. So, what's your favorite part? What was your favorite part about designing the game? Like, either a game mechanic you really enjoy, and what's your favorite part when you play your game?
The game, and a little bit of because of what you said earlier, because of the time constraints, of course.
Yes.
I had to in the beginning define quite well what I wanted with this game, and I had to think of what I was strongest before. And I had some experience in writing and narratives and stuff like that, so I decided to make this a very story-driven game. So the game is much more focused on the narrative, on the character development, and exploration. I tried to make the characters as real as possible and the situations and emotions as humane as possible. And it's much more that than the gameplay itself. I'm actually quite satisfied with the dialogues and the way that the characters are built and interact with one another. And I also like the way that the puzzles kind of also have a narrative aspect to them. Basically, you don't do a puzzle just because you need to do a puzzle, but you will learn something of the narrative while doing it.
So
the truth is that, go ahead.
No, so basically, you enjoy the storytelling a lot.
I do, yeah. I mean, I enjoy a lot of things, but for this game, that's what I focused more on it, and I think it panned out well.
It sounds like you put a lot of thought into it. So the game is Into a Dream?
The game is Into a Dream. It's the name of the game.
So.
And I can tell, of course, the premise of it.
Sure.
The game is basically so you play as this guy that wakes up in this mysterious place, and then he eventually finds out that his mind was linked to the dreams of another man, and this other man is suffering from depression. So we're kind of in like kind of an Inception kind of thing, kind of approach, but where the goal is to make kind of psychotherapy from the inside, to treat a person with depression from the inside. And the goal of this character, of the playable character, or the player, is to find out what happened with this depressed man, what happened in his life, what were the events that led to him thinking that he was not worth it anymore, that's not worth living for him anymore, etc. And then in the end, trying to lend him a helping hand in order for him to take the first step out of this depression of his.
Sounds intense, and also very interesting concept.
It is quite emotional. It's a little bit weird because most of people, when they play the game, and it's true, mainly the first, half or 2/3 of the game, the game actually feels very, very peaceful. And I did that a little bit on purpose because most people, at least when you meet them and when you talk to them, and that they are depressed or nearly depressed or something of that sort, they don't actually show us that they are depressed. Most of the times, actually, on the contrary, they try to put a mask on what they are feeling, and using that kind of thing and making the first part of the game a little bit more like a mask, like this person was also kind of controlling his outer dreams in order to make them a fake reality where he was okay. I believe that I made the game a little bit less intense. It becomes, of course, intense as you go through and you delve into the roots of the depression. But I kind of made a way into which the mood is a little bit light in the beginning of the game. Well, semi-light, because of course, depressed man. Kind of about it.
That's an interesting story technique because basically when you get to the truth, it's going to jar the player big time because it's, again, the nature of how you set up the story. It's kind of like a magic trick. Nothing to see, bang. Right? And then
it's pretty much like that.
Yes, nothing to see, bang. It's like, oh, okay. It's a good trick.
Exactly.
Well, one of the things, like, for good storytelling, like, not just for video games, but in general, you have to make your readers uncomfortable. But you kind of have to be you have to make them comfortable enough at first to come into the world, but then you have to jar them into discomfort somewhere in the story.
That's completely true.
Otherwise, there's no... Sorry, continue.
Yeah. No, it's true, and I've been happy to see that the people that have played the game and that have streamed the game and that I was able to see, that's exactly what they felt. I mean, the very beginning it's very welcoming, but then I use this thing that, we are inside the dreams of someone. So I use this thing where memories and symbols and past and future are all mixed and scrambled together. And so although everything seems welcoming, there's some inconsistencies with the way that the time goes, or the players talk, or the characters talk, etc., that gives a certain sense of uneasiness. And actually, people have actually said that while playing the game.
Yep. No, I got you. No, that's what you want, though. Like, you don't want it to be. You don't want to make it. If you make it too nice and sweet, no one's going to buy it. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice game won't be memorable. You won't make an impact in the long term. Games are very powerful in the sense that really, really good games tend to they can shape how a person looks at the world. So making people uncomfortable, making people look at things differently, right, and just, okay, this is what it is. Now, where do we go from here? What do we do from here? That's a very powerful thing, right? And that's storytelling in general, and that's where empathy gets created.
And I think that somewhere I think that in an interview that I gave, that was exactly what I said that I wanted with this game. I don't even want to give my own personal beliefs of what depression is or how it should be treated. I tried in this game to be almost like an impartial observer or narrator, so to speak. And my goal is actually that people can, or relate themselves or relate some event in their lives or in their loved ones' lives, and that they may see the world with different eyes, that they may grow, in a sense, by listening and by going through this story. And that's my main goal with this.
No.
That people can, either relating or not, that they can, self-reflect and become different, and possibly for the better, of course. But
well, if you create understanding with people, and that's your goal. I mean, we can't make someone become a better person. We don't, like, you and I do not have that power. But what we can do is we can open people's eyes to the world and say, okay, this is how it is. But this is how it could be. But this and the best stories usually have what I love about like classic science fiction is sometimes like you see different choices, right? A concept changes the world, and you see now all these different choices in front of you that weren't there before because the world just suddenly changed, right? Which is very apropos for the day. And now, on one hand, you can look at it and go, oh my God, this is the way it is. It's the end of the world as we know it. All right? But okay, now what do you do with it? Do you, like in the case of the depression, okay, now do you understand it? Maybe you're kinder towards people. Maybe you're learning not to judge people because we all carry our own weights with us wherever we go. And suddenly now you understand the weight I carry, and maybe in so doing, maybe you understand your own weight and what you carry a little bit better too, and suddenly you grow, and that's amazing.
Yeah, very well put.
Yes. Hey.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
Yeah, that's empathy. That's the nature of empathy right there, and that's
exactly.
And one of my favorite quotes. So you hope that people understand depression better and treat each other better. Is that it's fair to say?
It is fair to say. It's not only depression, because it's going to be focused a lot on the journey of the man more than the depression itself. But yes.
Well, that's good too. I mean, you don't want necessarily. I have here. So who is this man? When you start playing this game, who is he? Like as a character, not necessarily. I know what his goals and his quests are, but who is he? Like, is he just a blank slate? Is he? Does he have like a person, somewhat? Even though, although he doesn't remember everything, does he have like? Is he naturally curious? Is he angry? Is he like? Who is he when he starts?
You're talking about the player or the depressed man?
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes. The player.
So, the player. I can't tell that much, but well, what is said in the beginning is that the player does not have any memory of what happened prior because of the way that the technology of placing someone in other people's dreams does. It's not yet that well designed, so he doesn't have any memory of anything. But he's told that he is the best in the field of psychotherapy. That being said, he approaches the characters that he encounters and the world in a very curious and kind fashion. So basically, he is told in the beginning that he is the best psychotherapist and that other doctors attempted to go into the dreams of this depressed man, but he always found out that they were after him, and since he didn't want to relive what happened, he kind of managed to shut them down and prevent them to finding the cause of the depression. That's why they call this man who is the player.
He's innocent then. There's a certain innocence to him.
Yes, completely.
Yeah. So that must be interesting to play with too, because most of us aren't innocent anymore, right? Somewhere along the way we lose it. Do you envy it at this point? Like players, when you see someone that innocent, that open, or do you like especially when you are telling that stories, like is there like almost like an envious, like you lost a little bit of that childlike wonder? Do you know what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying, and probably yes.
Yes.
But but it's a little bit hard for me to answer that question now, because what happens is that this character, this player, one of the things that happens throughout the game is that as he is going to learn what happened and the interactions and everything that happened with the depression of the other man, he kind of changes a little bit.
What would he's supposed to, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I also have in my mind his final self, which is not that innocent anymore. But answering your question, yes, of course, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So,
yeah, of course.
Well, I won't actually spoil the game. What I'm saying is I'm going to go into a completely different aspect of this, because you're an engineer, and so when you did this, were there any stories in particular that influenced you to create this game, or was this was it any person that inspired you to create this game with this kind of story? Like, where did this germinate from?
That's also not a very easy question for me to answer, because it comes from... Okay, so I'm going... Let me think about it. So I have been wanting to do a game for quite a while, and I believe that there have been some games that have inspired a little bit of the main story. For example, To the Moon. I don't know if you ever played the game, but
I've heard of it, and it's something I kind of want to touch. But
yeah, because it's a narrative-driven game, and although it's not exactly in dreams, it happens inside the memories of a person that in this case he wants to anyway redeem himself. That's the premise of To the Moon. But then I believe that there has been one person in particular, and the story of one person that, although it didn't inspire me to create in the first place, I kind of molded one of the characters, the character of the depressed man. I molded a little bit on this person's actions and this person's personality, and a little bit of what happened to his life. What happens next is that I basically tend to write as I go. So I'm not the kind of person that has an idea and then puts it to paper and I write the whole narrative and then I go and do the game. I had this very vague idea in the beginning, and I started developing the game. And as the levels were progressing, I was kind of constructing the story and then going back and adding some detail that I found out afterwards, and a little bit a mess, something that wouldn't work very well if I was working in a team. But that makes my inspirations come from various places and various times, and it's not something that's specific for me. So I'd say that there were some games, and To the Moon was clearly one of them, probably the biggest one. And then I know for sure that this person was clearly the inspiration for how my main character came to be. But everything else was a little bit, on that specific time that I did something, or... I mean, it was bits and pieces from everywhere.
Yep. So... Okay, couple more questions, and I think we'll have almost a magical interview here. But so when did you want to get into like make a game? Like what was the sign? Like this is what I want to do with my life, or this is where I want to go.
I've been wanting to develop at least a game. 5 or 6 or even 7 years ago. Although I've been an engineer I took academically an engineering course and then I worked in engineering, but most of my spare time and my thoughts were also in some more artistic endeavors. I mean, I write a lot, I compose a lot, I even compose a musical, and a video game was one of my lifelong dreams, I think, for like the last 5 years. I never thought that I would eventually do it. But I always thought that it was something that I would really enjoy, because it basically combines the arts and the scientific approach into one.
Yeah.
And I think, and then it was just a thing of the moment, you know. I mean, I was unemployed because I wanted to, but still unemployed, searching for a job. And when I just picked up Unity and just started messing with it during 1 week, I mean, 1 week after I messed with it, I just thought, oh, I think I can do this, and I have some savings that could last for 2 years. So let's take 1 to 1.5 years and try to do this. So it was nothing that it was not at the beginning something like I want to do this for the rest of my life, or this is what I want to do for X years. I had no idea. That kind of came afterwards when I was working, and I just realized that I was enjoying my previous 6, 7, 8 months so much.
No, you decided that, you know what, you weren't going to. There are a couple things to unpack with what you just said. So we'll go with the recent. We'll go all the way back. Good on you. No. Honestly, I wish more people would recognize when they're not happy and just walk away. I think we'd be a happier world. It's like, you know what, this is. Some people don't always have the luxury to walk away, but I learned this in life a long time ago. If people really look, that they can find ways. The world does work kind of like that, even in times like these. Number one, and I applaud you for it, man. Congrats. I mean, I hope it was everything you imagined it to be and more so far. Number one, number two.
Yeah.
But number two, going back to something. No, I realize the two, like, in terms of construction. Video games and movies are actually a very where they are similar is there's an artistic component to it, but both of them require a lot of engineering. Video games is about, you literally have to build your sets, like you literally have to build them from the ground up, then create whatever interaction you're going to create. And I think this is the cool thing about games. I said this with my interview with Vox. The language of games is how you interact. Is the interaction between the player and the game, and I think that's just another level of art that's just incredible. And I still think we're largely untapped, but yeah, it's amazing how art's becoming more sophisticated as we get further and further into the 21st century, I guess is what I'm actually saying, because there's a lot more engineering, there's a lot more science, there's a lot more possibilities of how to merge these things together, and I think it's just really damn cool.
Agreed.
Yes. So, just out of curiosity, what music instruments do you play, and what do you do that way? Because I'm curious.
I'm a piano player since age 5, so that led me to play a lot of classical stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I play, and I do a lot on the piano, and I compose some stuff for piano more in a romantic classical fashion. But I also learned electric guitar, and I was playing 70s and 80s rock all the time. I don't usually compose that.
Okay, no. I just have this really. I have a theory. This is just an aside here. I notice this with a lot of my friends that do metal. They have a big classical. A lot of the really, really good metal bands have a surprisingly strong depth of classical music in their work. You're right. I actually find that. So now I have this picture of you of like this, and now I'm sure this isn't completely true at all. Like this Viking gentleman, like just jamming away on a piano most of the time. Every once in a while, just takes up the guitar and rocks. And
pretty much.
Yes, you'll take it, right? I'll take it.
Yeah. That seems about a very cool depiction of me.
Yes, I'll take it. Right. Right. So you might drink your alcohol in one of those Viking vials, but at heart you're just a gentleman leisure. But dude, it sounds like you have a lot of discipline, and I think that has actually worked out for you very well. I could probably learn from that. So.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
No, I just like doing different stuff.
You like tinkering
and learning.
You like tinkering. Yeah. Yes.
I don't want to be the best in anything specific. I just want to be. I mean, good in a lot of stuff, different stuff, and learning all of different stuff, and yeah.
I can respect that. No, there's so much to learn, man. There's so much to learn, so much to do. Right?
True.
Yeah, and life's short, so you gotta make the most of it. So this game releases in 2 months, so May, June. Is there a date?
No, the release date is already set to May the 20th.
Excellent. Good luck, man. It sounds like you've put a lot into this. I can tell. I'm actually gonna have a little request for you when we get off the air, based on everything you've told me here, if you're up to it.
Completely.
Yeah. But I think we have an interview here. What do you think? And he's gone silent.
Sorry?
I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm perfect with it.
You're perfect with it? Good. Yeah, totally. So how about you do this? Since we're at the end of the interview, why don't you tell people who you are, how people can find you, and talk about your game, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. So, my name is Felipe Thomaz, and I'm a Portuguese indie developer that has been working in a game called Into a Dream that is going to be released on Steam and Vox Pop Games on May 20th. The game is a story-driven game, so highly narrative-driven game, where you play as a man called John that is placed inside the dreams of another man called Luke that is suffering from depression. And his job is to track him down, to understand what happened to his life, and try to help him to take the first step out of his darkness, so to speak. You can find stuff about Into a Dream in basically all major social media outlets, just by searching Into a Dream game. I am most active on Twitter. I have a free demo on itch.io. And of course, if you are interested, you can always wishlist the game on my Steam page, where there's also the trailer and some screenshots, and also on the Vox Pop Games platform. And that's about it.
That's right? Okay.
Think you have what it takes to survive? Then get your ass to Mars. Get Your Ass to Mars is the latest simulation sensation courtesy of Indie Imprint. You are pitted against the hostile nature of Mars. Can you survive and pave the way for future colonists? Or will you succumb to the many pitfalls and obstacles in your way? Get Your Ass to Mars, the Dragon Edition, is available now on PC and Steam. Go to indieimprint.com for more details.
And that was my conversation with Felipe F. Thomaz, developer of Into the Dream. There's going to be on the link here, a YouTube link, so you can actually see the game itself, hear the music. Definitely check out last Sunday's Storytime episode. Philip performed 2 amazing songs from his game. Incredibly one-of-a-kind talent, brilliant man. Philip, thank you very much for coming on my show. You are welcome to come back anytime you like. I appreciate you, man, and definitely gonna check your game out, take it home with me to play. To the rest of you, just today, I feel oddly grateful. I look at my friends list on Facebook. I look at my who I follow on Twitter. I look at my Instagram. And honestly, honest to God, I'm grateful. There's a lot of cool people. I've learned a long time ago to appreciate the time I have with everybody I know in my life, because I know that it's limited. We all only have a certain amount of time with each other. So, and I think about this more and more right now because of what's going on, but also just because everything is a moment in time. The good things, the bad things, the terrible things, nothing lasts forever. So while we're here, make the most of what we have. That says more about who we are than anything else. So I'm hoping whatever you're going through right now, the good, the bad, the ugly, I'm with you. And hopefully, better things are on the horizon for us all. And that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so a number of different ways. I'm on every platform available, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, of course, my Podomatic address where you can click and subscribe. Let people know I'm out there and I'm awesome and all that other wonderful fun stuff. If you don't like the podcast, if you don't like it, that's okay. I understand. Just don't tell anybody. We're good. Honest, it's really cool. Outside of that, honestly, my books, The Watcher's Third Answer, Wandering God, MarvelPublishing.com, The Cloud Diver will be released May 1st, ebook. Order date, order link will be hopefully this weekend, Storytime podcast. Outside of that, YouTube channels, Joshua Pantellaresco, Twitter, Instagrams at jpantellaresco, my merchandise at jpantellaresco.redbubble.com. If you got a spare buck or two, buy some merch. Outside of that, guys, stay inspired, keep doing your thing, stay joyful in this time. It's not where we're at, it's where we're going. Chase joy. Have yourself a good one, guys. I'll see you guys next time.
Josh.
Why don't you explain real quick the background music, like the motivation for it, kind of what the tone you want to set it for the game with it.
Okay, so what we are listening now in the background is the main tune for Into Dream, and as most of the soundtrack of the game, it was composed with the piano as the main instrument, and almost exclusively, mostly to give this kind of light isolation, calmness. Kind of vibe.
Okay.
This song is that the song was composed in the major key, but it sounds sad, and this was made kind of on purpose so that you can feel that something is not right, but at the same time there's hope in it, in a way, and that's a little bit of what I want to convey with this game, and I hope that it also transpires with the main tune of the game.
Cool. Okay.